Hey guys, what's happening? So we're back for part 2 of the Black Panther Blood Hunt tie-in. And I gotta say, there's a little theory I had a while back about a certain someone being involved with all of this, and I'm glad to see that that someone is finally showing up in this event. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so coming back, we pick up with T'Challa, who's returned to exile, where like we saw, after leaving Wakanda and going into the wilderness, he discovered that he was being stalked by a Black Panther. So eventually it engages and they wrestle for a while. But come to find out, this panther was actually possessed by Bast, who's now made her way here to speak to T'Challa, to fill him in about what's going on and what she needs him to do. Which now, this takes me back to what I mentioned in our previous talk, about how I wasn't feeling the initial reaction that we saw from Bast. I mean, even here she stays true to her point of being disappointed, but just like how I'd mentioned before, how the rejection coming from Bast was being used as a tool to test the integrity of T'Challa's character, in issue 1 I was like, yeah, alright, I'm okay with that. But now in issue 2, I'm appreciating it even more, because in a spiritual sense, T'Challa was only able to hear from his God when he returned to the place where he was supposed to be, which was his exile in the wilderness. So I just thought that was a brilliant parallel, and it just made me appreciate the decision that the writer Cheryl Lynn Eaton made even more, because now we're given a bit of history by going back eons ago, when Varnae, the original Lord of the Vampires, made his way to this land long before it would become Wakanda, to build his temple and construct a gate made from the rare metal of this land, so that this gate would allow him to ascend to godhood. And so earlier on, when we started our talks on Blood Hunt, I had this little theory that Varnae would be involved somehow, some way. So at the time when we covered the first Doctor Strange tie-in, I went more into detail about Varnae's backstory, because to me it just sounded like he was the big baddie. So now that he's here, I'll just go through it real quick once again. But if you guys want a separate video just on him, just let me know in the comments. But to summarize it real quick, Varnae was a human sorcerer from pre-cataclysmic Atlantis who exclusively studied the necromantic arts. And when one of the many conflicts broke out between the different elder gods, he sided with Chthon. 500 years later, under the leadership of Thulsa Doom, Varnae was mortally wounded by the king of Atlantis, King Kull, who also ended up killing Thulsa Doom. So to get revenge, a small group of sorcerers who were followers of Thulsa, they used Chthon's scrolls, which would later be included in the Darkhold, to transform themselves into powerful creatures so they could defeat King Kull. So when Varnae was the first of those volunteers to be transformed, he proved to be the most powerful. So the others who were converted, they followed him, and they turned on the other sorcerers. But eventually these creatures that they became would later on be known as vampires, with Varnae being the very first Lord of Vampires. But going back to this flashback that we're given, when he came to this land to execute his plan to transcend to godhood, he lured out a number of people from the other side of the river, showing them ornaments that they'd never seen, made by a metal more brilliant than gold and stronger than iron. And as we go back, we're shown one of the people who fell for this was a follower of Khonshu who nearly escaped. And as we're told, with her just making it outside, the combination of her death alongside of this rare metal being shown in the moonlight, these things caught the attention of Khonshu, who made his way here to avenge his follower. But as soon as he arrived, he was stopped by Bast, because even though his intentions were noble, had he continued, this would have created a conflict between the Aeneid and the Orisha, because he would have been exerting his power in a land that's unspoken for. So Bast told Khonshu that he needs to speak to the other gods before he does anything, because his actions could have easily been seen like him trying to take the land for his own. So following this, Bast leads T'Challa to the river, while telling him how the goddess Anuket brought water to this region as a gift to Wakanda, and as a consolation for leaving this realm unprotected, which is something that the Orisha and the Aeneid vowed would never happen again. But fast forward to now, because they didn't destroy Varnae when they had the chance, T'Challa's now infected with Varnae's venom. And because T'Challa's people were the first people of this land, the gods must keep that promise to him. So as they arrive at this river, Bast goes on to tell T'Challa more about the history between the gods and Varnae, because she goes on to tell T'Challa that it was Khonshu who initially discovered the first people of this land were enslaved by Varnae, who had also stolen vibranium from the fires of Ptah, which he would use both as their shackles and also as the material to construct a gate that he would use to ascend to godhood. So in the process of doing this, most of Varnae's work was done at night, for obvious reasons. But this also created the situation I mentioned earlier, with the full moon hitting that vibranium, getting Khonshu's attention. So from here, Bast, her explanation, it pretty much picks up from where the flashback had left off. Because following Khonshu discovering what Varnae was doing, in addition to him witnessing Varnae kill one of his followers, Bast urged Khonshu to bring this before the other gods before he took action. So they all came together, agreeing that Varnae must be stopped and he must not be allowed to become a god. So they all came together, with the exception of some, like the sun god Ra, who I guess just doesn't care about things that happen at night. But no, as it's told, Ra slumbers during the nighttime, so of course he wasn't here. But on this night, they also had Koku, the Ever-Burning, join them, and with him being a god of war, Khonshu was hesitant for him to come along, because he believed that Koku's presence alone would be a declaration of war. But he didn't care, because he's not going to stand by and allow Varnae to steal what belongs to them by way of trickery and theft. But going back to the present day, Bast tells T'Challa her and the other gods made a grave mistake because they were more focused on Varnae's defeat rather than his destruction. And since his body was never recovered, that left the possibility for his return. But for a moment here, we take a break from the flashback, where now Bast is calling for her sister, Anukit, who already knows if Bast is calling her, then something's gotta be wrong. So Bast tells Anukit that the progeny of Varnae has turned her champion. So Anukit's like, pity, he's a beauty. Which right there is her splashing a little riz his way. But then Anukit asks what is it exactly that she wants her to do. So she tells her Varnae's temple must be destroyed, and quickly, before his children learn of its true power. And right there Anukit's like, I told y'all to destroy that thing eons ago, before it was cast into the dark waters far beyond her dominion. So she asks Bast, how do you expect me to do this now? And Bast tells her no, I expect him to. And you can tell right now that's even caught T'Challa off guard. So Anukit says very well, that can be arranged. So from here she takes T'Challa into the water to prepare him for what's to come. And the way this preparation goes down, it's a bit hot and steamy. Like it's turning into a music video down here. And I mean, we'll get back to those details in a little bit, because the way this plays out, it takes us somewhere very interesting. But before we continue this portion, for a moment here we go back to Shuri, where in her case, contrary to T'Challa's request, she's reached out to Doom for help anyway, and she's asked Doom if she could bring this small group of people over to Latveria where it's safe, cause her artificial sunlight isn't gonna last much longer, with it currently running at 64%. But upon hearing this request from Shuri, Doom tells her no, and it's not so much because of their history, but instead Doom doesn't trust the idea of letting this group of Wakandans into Latveria, because as it stands, T'Challa's compromised, and to make it worse, Shuri has no idea where T'Challa is now. So for Doom, the way he sees it, if he lets Shuri and these other people in, if he lets them in beyond Latveria's borders, this will create the opportunity for the vampire T'Challa to come in behind them. And he compares it to that of a siren song, because if he follows this tune, it'll do him more harm than good. So he more or less just tells her until she can be more forthcoming about T'Challa's status, then this conversation's over. Which now leaves Shuri and the others in the situation where they gotta figure something out, because they're all finna be back in the dark soon. But following this, we return to the flashback in the distant past where Bast and the others made their way to Varnae's temple. But as soon as they approached the entrance, they found themselves confronted by an insane number of vampires. And I mean, at this point in time, I don't think the term vampire was even a thing yet. But while they're here, Khonshu notices a light inside the temple, so Koku makes use of it since he can teleport through any source of fire. So he checks it out, and surely enough, it takes him right to Varnae. But all we're shown for the time being is the fight beginning between these two. Marvel's first vampire versus Koku, a god of war. And it just has me like, man, one of these guys needs their own series so we can see some more of this. But while they're getting down, Bast uses this as a distraction so she can free the other people who have been held here captive. And once she has them all out, she gives them the instructions to follow the Panthers west for 3 days. After that, wait for 3 more days, and then return to the temple, which then has a woman here by the name of Inyami, interesting name, but she's hesitant because it'll be hard for her and the others to come back to this place. So Bast tells her to trust her, and she tells her, the gods make a promise to all of you tonight. Those who till this land will never wear chains again. The Enid and the Orisha will see to that. From this day forth, Wakandans will always walk free. And after seeing this, we go back to the present day, where we pick up with T'Challa and his current activities. And I mean, right here, you can just insert whatever water-related R&B song that you can imagine. Cause it's here with the goddess, Anukit, bites her lip, so T'Challa can feed on her blood with a kiss. And during this moment that they share, T'Challa's narration reads as such: "She is strong, too strong for me to battle, and so I accept the will of a god I do not believe in, even if that blind faith leads to my death. But death is not what Anukit offers. Instead, she dangles a new form of life before me, the enduring blood of a river goddess. I can sense her essence in the dark waters before I can even taste it. I drink her in and immediately understand the blood coven's ferocity. To feed from a god, to be one with immortality, if only for an instant, creates a desire I might end worlds to fulfill." And I mean, from what I understand, I don't think the blood coven been drinking none of this. Cause T'Challa out here like, "Ooh, I'm about to dive in." But continuing with the story, he goes on to say, "She breaks from me, but I have already been changed. The craving for her blood has marked me, bound me to yet another supernatural being, and I am not one to easily accept the loss of control. Anukit made me stronger, more resilient, but what I wish to be is free. Freedom is not given, it must be earned, won in a battle of wills, and my battle has just begun." So essentially what she's done is given T'Challa a power upgrade and led him to the temple of Varnae. But as soon as he gets there, he's confronted by a group of Atlantean soldiers who tell him to leave now, or this temple will be his tomb. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.